You think intelligence protects your money decisions. It doesn't. It makes them worse. Not slightly worse, measurably, consistently worse. And that is the trap nobody warns you about. You've read the books, you understand the theory, you know exactly what you should do. And your bank account still tells a different story. That gap is not ignorance. It is something far more uncomfortable. In the next minutes, I am going to show you 3 behavioral traps that have nothing to do with math. They have everything to do with how your brain evolved to survive, not to build wealth. This is what Mintotex is built for. Think deeper, see further. Your brain was not built to accumulate wealth. It was built to survive immediate threats, and it still treats money like one of them. Loss aversion. What it is. Losses feel more painful than equal gains feel good. Daniel Kahneman's prospect theory showed that losses hurt approximately twice as much as equivalent gains. This is not a metaphor. It is a measurable asymmetry in how your brain processes outcomes. The gain of $100 activates a certain level of satisfaction. The loss of the same $100 activates roughly double the pain response. Kahneman and Tversky demonstrated this across hundreds of experiments. Participants consistently made irrational choices, accepting worse expected outcomes simply to avoid the psychological experience of a loss. And here is what makes this relevant to you specifically. The smarter you are, the more sophisticated your avoidance strategy becomes. A less analytical person might panic sell and move on. An intelligent person builds a case. They research the company further. They find analysts who agree with their position. They reframe the loss as a temporary correction. They are not protecting their money. They are protecting their narrative. Real example. You hold a declining investment for months, waiting for a recovery that never comes. You are not being patient. You are avoiding the psychological pain of admitting a loss. And every week you wait, the actual financial loss compounds. Here is the real trap inside the trap. You are not afraid of losing money. You are afraid of admitting you were wrong. Those are 2 entirely different problems. One is financial, the other is psychological, and your brain will sacrifice the first to protect the second. The shift. Treat every loss as information, not failure. Before you enter any investment, define the exact point at which you will exit if it moves against you. Write it down before the emotion exists. This is called a pre-commitment device. The ancient Greeks understood this. Ulysses tied himself to the mast before he could hear the sirens, not because he lacked willpower, but because he knew willpower alone would fail. Your stop-loss is your mast. Set it before the music starts. Mental accounting. What it is, your brain assigns different rules to money based on where it came from. The science. Behavioral economists demonstrated that people consistently spend windfall income faster than earned income, even when the amounts are identical. A tax refund disappears in a weekend. A salary bonus funds a purchase you would never make from your paycheck. Real example. You invest your monthly salary carefully, then spend a bonus impulsively on something that adds no lasting value. The money is the same. The math is the same. But your brain has placed it in a different mental category, and that category comes with different spending rules. Your brain creates these categories to simplify decisions, but money does not respect your categories. It compounds the same way regardless of which mental box it came from. Every unit of money you have costs you hours of your life. Treat it that way. The shift. Unify your mental accounts into one ledger. When a bonus arrives, pause before spending it. Ask a single question. Would I spend this if it came from my salary? If the answer is no, the purchase fails the test. This is not about restriction. It is about applying the same standard of judgment to every dollar, regardless of its origin story. Automate your bonus allocation the moment it lands. Direct a fixed percentage to investment before your brain has time to reclassify it as free money. The percentage does not matter as much as the habit. 20% automatically moved is 20% your reactive brain never sees. Remove the decision entirely. Before I get to the third trap, this one is the one I see the most, and it is probably already happening to you right now. Stay with me. The sunk cost trap. What it is: continuing a failing course of action because of what you already invested. The science. Research shows people will double down on bad decisions specifically to avoid the psychological pain of acknowledging a loss. In one study, participants given non-refundable tickets to two events on the same night overwhelmingly chose the more expensive one, not the one they wanted to attend more. The past cost was driving the future decision. Real example: you keep paying for a subscription you have not used in 4 months because canceling feels like admitting a mistake. You stay in a career that stopped serving you 3 years ago because leaving would mean the previous years were wasted. You hold the relationship, the business, the position, not because they have future value, but because walking away feels like loss. This is the most common trap, because stopping feels like losing. But staying is the actual loss. The past cost is already gone. It left the moment you spent it. The only question that matters now is this: does continuing this decision improve your future? Not your past, your future. The shift. Make sunk cost visible. Once a month, audit every ongoing financial commitment, subscriptions, investments, memberships, positions. For each one, ask a single question. If I were not already in this, would I choose to start it today? If the answer is no, the sunk cost trap is already operating. This audit is uncomfortable. That discomfort is the bias defending itself. Build friction into the process of staying, not just the process of leaving. Notice the pattern across all three. None of these are math problems. They are perception problems, and your intelligence does not solve perception problems. It narrates them more convincingly. Smart people do not make fewer mistakes. They construct better explanations for them. They hold the losing stock and call it patience. They spend the bonus and call it reward. They stay in the failing venture and call it commitment. The vocabulary changes. The outcome doesn't. So what actually changes things? Not more knowledge, a better system. 3 principles, and each one has a name. Pre-commitment. Set your rules before the emotion appears. This is what Ulysses did. This is what every automatic investment does. The decision is made in a calm moment, so the reactive brain never gets a vote. Define your exit points before you enter. Define your allocation before the money arrives. Your future self will not be more rational. Build the structure now. Automation. Remove willpower from the equation entirely. Willpower is a finite resource. Research consistently shows it depletes with use, like a muscle. Automatic index fund contributions do not require willpower. They do not require discipline. They require one decision, made once, that executes without your emotional brain ever being consulted again. That is not laziness. That is precision. Friction design. Behavioral economists call this choice architecture. The principle: make bad choices harder to execute. Remove the trading app from your phone. The gap between impulse and action is where rational thought lives. Increase that gap deliberately. Add one extra step between you and every financial decision you know you should not be making impulsively. You are not removing freedom. You are protecting yourself from a brain that evolved 30,000 years before the stock market existed. Because in the moment, you are not rational. You are reactive, and every bias we covered activates exactly in that moment, not in the calm one. Your brain will always choose perceived safety over actual growth. That is not a flaw. It is a feature that kept your ancestors alive. But your ancestors were not managing a retirement portfolio. Money is not a math game. It is a psychological system operating inside a brain that was never designed for it. And you are both the player and the obstacle. Most people spend their entire lives trying to get smarter about money. They read more books, they follow more analysts, they build more complex models, and their behavior stays exactly the same. Because the problem was never information. The problem is the gap between what you know and what you do when the emotion arrives. Pre-commitment closes that gap. Automation closes that gap. Friction design closes that gap. Knowledge alone never did. The question is not whether you are intelligent. The question is whether you are honest enough to see where your intelligence is working against you. If this made you think, subscribe. The next video will make you question more.